Oh, we are live.
We are live. Oh, Jack, are you a big tennis fan?
I am a big tennis fan. I was very very drunk on Saturday night.
Yeah,
Um and stayed up and watched Emma in kind of the last few games. Man, I I guess that the last time that I saw her and kept up to date with her was from Wimbledon.
yeah.
So for me, I don't know if this has necessarily come out of nowhere or not. Like, I don't know what she's been doing since that time period, but this is a monumental shift in British tennis, at least. And I hope that, my one fear when they're young is that, like countless examples prior, the kind of the fame and the whatever and the money doesn't like go to her head, and she can just be chill and just have the right people around her, and continue the same level of performance and development. What's up, David?
David, welcome to the chat. Oh yeah, I mean, like for now, she
I,
doesn't
I
have to win
know
it.
I know you want to get on to Novak, but I just wanted to touch
Oh,
on Emma quick.
quick one. Guys, we're gonna get onto the football in a minute, so I was gonna chat a little quick about tennis. Yeah, Emma, incredible achievement. The hardest thing in sport in general is to get to the top and then stay there. Getting to the
Right.
top is the easy part. Staying there is a tough part, and we see a lot of these remarkable results of these young females now finding a way to win a Grand Slam. The question is, can she stay there? Incredible achievement. Didn't drop a set. Outstanding, but are you going to be a Serena Williams who's there all her career, or are you going to be one of these unknowns who just win once
Right.
and just goes
Yeah,
off?
and
You
I
know,
think that's the best. That's like the best comparison. It's why Serena Williams to me will always just be such a different level of competitor across any sport, because within Serena Williams era, who would you say are kind of the main competitive names there? Ones don't just jump to mind and you go, oh yeah, them, oh yeah, them, oh yeah, them. Like, it's just been her dominating throughout.
it's been her. Her probably second best competitor will probably be her sister, but even
Right.
then, like
Right.
which is quite interesting. Also,
Yeah.
Naomi Osaka recently, but yeah, Novak. Listen, oh my days,
James, okay, break it down, because I didn't see it. I was keeping kind of an eye on it, but I was watching some NFL, so I was kind of glued into
so
that.
we're gonna get into the football, but let me just put this into perspective right now. Novak Djokovic had a chance to. This was the biggest tennis match of his life, and you'll never get an opportunity like this. So this game was so big that if he would have won this, he would have done the calendar Grand Slam. Would have been the third men's player to do that, and we haven't seen this done in nearly like what 40, 50 years.
Jesus.
Which is incredible. Secondly, the fact that he would have eclipsed Roger and Rafa as eclipsing them being the male player with the most Grand Slam, which is just huge. And the
It,
fact of the
it,
matter is, like, he's dominated. Like, it hasn't been close this year. Djokovic could just enter a freaking tennis court and would just win. And the fact that he lost in straight sets, the final hurdle, like, oh
Novak,
my
yeah, I
days.
think I think I like.
Ronan,
Yeah,
appreciate it.
what's up, Ronan? Um,
Appreciate the little
yeah,
Ronan.
we appreciate that. Through haircuts and beard trims, we appreciate it. Um, my personal favorite player has always been Rafa Nadal. I'm left-handed personally when I play tennis, and I love the way that guy just tears up the court. But his game and play style and stuff does not speak to longevity. So I think with Novak kind of clinching this achievement that you're talking about there, James, it's a matter of time. We know it's going to happen. Roger Federer is not going to take anti-aging, anti-aging, I don't know, tonic or whatever, and then immediately become 15 years younger. But then again, I'm not ruling him out.
Do you know what it is? Is that you say that Rafa doesn't have time, but he's 35 and he's still probably going to win another Grand Slam and will eclipse freaking Roger.
Yeah.
Djokovic probably will end with the most. He's
Oh, for
just
sure.
his game is just longevity, and then when ECM dates, it's just unstoppable.
We
But overall, Roger Federer is the best tennis player out of the tree. That's just
to,
a
to,
fact of mine.
to be fair, we haven't even said the guy's name. We haven't even said Medvedev's name. Like I say, I didn't watch it, but I guess credit to him. But obviously, there's a bigger underlying story going on there.
I just hope that this is finally like the changing of the guard in tennis because it's needed because three guys are just they take the piss. It's too
Right.
much. Like, when you just win too much, you're like, yo, let somebody else win. It's
Right.
it's way it's way too much. But let's get into the Premier League stuff. It's our Premier League reaction of the week. going on to match week 4. We've been away with international break.
It's
Been
been
a bit dull.
brutal.
Like
Brutal.
I'm beginning to hate the international break right now. And I think there was a proposal about like them doing the international break in like only like a 4-week span where they just get all the qualifiers and everything out the way, so it doesn't have to
So
interfere with the.
I had that ready. I'm so pleased you brought it up, James, because I had that ready because I thought it was a fascinating point of conversation, and I think this idea that they want to make the World Cup more often. James, I already know your reaction is going to be no, because you want it to be special, you want it to be rare, you want you want each professional to have realistically 2 chances at it, maybe 3 if they're a particularly great player and they keep themselves in good shape, etc., etc. I would have been against it too. I'm not going to lie to you. I think it messes up a lot of stuff doing it very quickly. What would happen with the Euros? Would the Euros just not happen? Would you do it every other year in that way? So then there are no summer breaks for the players, and we do start to see more injuries that come about because of a lack of rest time. And I know people like to criticize footballers saying, "Oh, why can't you just play every day? If I could play just 90 minutes every day, I would." It's like, well, first of all, look at the intensity that they're playing at. That kind of makes a big difference. And also, you want to make sure that the body can heal itself as well, because you are trying to develop. You're not just trying to stagnate. However, what I did like, and I know we won't be able to really stick this up, but the 2 options, I like the way they were doing the 2 options personally. Number 1, August and September, club football. Like you said, James, you have October through to mid-November. So that would be 6 or 7 weeks, right? Where you can kind of, as a football fan, you can kind of get into the headspace of, let's support my nation. Let's try and organize going to games. Maybe the players can understand a system and a style of football a little bit better because they have more time working together. This is what I really like. Club football non-stop from mid-November to the beginning of June. That's pretty cool. No international breaks, no chill, none of this, none of that. Now, some competitions, maybe the Bundesliga, Serie A, whatever, might still choose to have winter breaks and then try and adjust the fixtures accordingly. But for me, having that is terrific. Then, from beginning of June to kind of really the beginning of July, early July, you would have that time off. Then July through to kind of mid-August, you would have the time off. That was number 1. Number 2 is club football from August through to mid-October. Then from November to February, club football with the international break in between, and then one more international break in March with it. So separated and just less of an international break. I personally would prefer option 1, but James, I'm just curious if either of those kind of options to you make you change your mind even a little bit to go, yeah, I could do a World Cup every 2 years.
Do you know what? I actually wouldn't be against the fact that they go into a small period of time, just like you mentioned in the first one, where like you go from, let's say, what is it, September all the way to like October to November, and then you play all the games. But personally, I would want that earlier in the season. So I would want that in like a August to September. So get it done throughout like throughout the way. You can have the transfer window.
The reason why they won't do that, the transfer window, first of all, great point. But also, James, obviously, that would mean that you have the qualifiers for then the next couple of years, I think would come straight off the back of the first World Cup, I think, unless it would just be 1 year with all of them and 1 year with none of them. I don't know how that would work. I don't personally know or think you can realistically go from one World Cup to like a year and a half, basically, before you even meet up again as an international squad.
It's a bit, I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of changing football, but I wouldn't mind a new format being changed, because I feel like the international break at times, it really does kill the momentum of football teams. And at times it's needed for teams like Arsenal. We needed that international break to kind of get us going. But that 2-week period, in fact, in like in another 3 weeks, we're going to have to take another period off for international football. It's a bit, I kind of get
And,
that. But let's get into a few comments here, to be fair.
But James, just quick, you made the point. It's a momentum killer. Some teams are buzzing. Some teams are like, we're on a bad run. Great. We can just recover, recuperate, come again with a different energy next time. Some teams are like, you're kidding me. I was on a winning run. Now 2 of my players are going to get injured. They're going to come back. They're going to be jet lagged. It's not going to be the same. So, yeah, you're going to get peaks and troughs. David, what's up, David? Different note. What are your thoughts on UEFA getting rid of the away goal rule? I'm personally a huge fan. I really am. And the reason why I'm such a huge fan is there are certain games where the home field advantage plays such a big advantage that if a team can get lucky in that first leg, then score like let's say they win 2-0, right, in the home leg. So the opposition team hasn't scored an away goal. And then you're the team who's then away and you score one early away goal that's lucky. The other team to win need to score 4 goals. They need to win that second leg 4-1. It ruins way too many knockout ties, in my opinion, for it to be worth doing. When it's a draw, I kind of think, oh, okay, that's kind of interesting. Like, yeah, a team had the harder job of scoring away from home. But I would also then say, well, that's fine, but are we really embracing the spirit of competition, keeping everything equal? We're valuing goals from one perspective over another perspective, and I personally just don't think that's right.
Also, I feel like the away goal is just, it gets to a point where it becomes a bit too detrimental, and people talk about first it got the home team, the away team, to come out and actually attack, but it made the home team a bit too like fragile, because the fact that you just did not want to give away that away goal. Another big factor with the away goal to me was the fact that, let's say if it's level in normal time and like you go into the extra time, and like the the away team still have the chance to score with the away goal, which doubles. And I think it happened for Porto against Juve this season. And technically that's a disadvantage because you both played 90 minutes at home each, and now the opposition has another 30 minutes to score an away goal to put them 2 goals ahead. There's a lot with that. But we got another comment from.
If you're trying to make it fair, I don't know if there's anything more or less fair than a goal being worth a goal. Period. Not one goal being worth 1.1 because it was, scored away from goal. I think that, a lot of the time, James, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If we have a huge issue, that's happening, start to introduce a rule like that. But I don't recall it being an issue prior, and I don't recall it being an issue now. So the idea of flip flopping, it just seems to be change for the sake of change. But I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
We're going to answer these double comments from
Ronan. What's up, Ronan? Maybe it's because I'm English. Hey, you and me both. But the Euros seem to hold much more weight than other continental competitions. Wouldn't be opposed to replacing all those competitions with a World Cup every 2 years. Ronan, okay.
I don't think so. Because
just quickly, James, I'll get this out and then we can go. The thought of a couple of months being allocated to international football instead of interrupting the league does make sense to me, but means the national teams will see much less of each other. Well, this is the thing, Ronan, right? So you'd have a year where you'd spend 7 weeks in each other's company, then do the tournament, and then a year where you wouldn't see them at all. That unless I'm misunderstanding that, I think that's what they're proposing. Sorry, James.
But let's be truthfully honest. Okay, take the qualifiers out of it. How do we really, really, really clear about friendlies? Like how important? I get it for a national team, it makes a difference, but in a grand scheme of things, I look at friendlies right now, and I just look. It's just a bunch of games where players can just buffer up their goal scoring stats and then go back to the clubs. Harry Kane, he'll play for England. He'll go against Azerbaijan or Sampdoria.
Hat trick of penalties.
Ridiculous. But
look, Jeff, for me personally, Ronan's point there, I think he's making in the first comment, is that a continental competition is not worth the same, depending on the continent. And I agree with him from that standpoint. I do. We can look at CONMEBOL and we can go, oh, it's pretty good, but it's only really good when we have a Brazil-Argentina final. Like, I'm not trying to dismiss Uruguay, I'm not trying to dismiss Colombia or whatever, but we know the real go-to match there in CONMEBOL have their, what's it even called? Copa America, right? We know what that is, okay? CONCACAF, when they do the Gold Cup, if it's not USA versus Mexico, is it really any good and worth it? Same for Asia, same for, to be fair, Africa, there are some good blends of finals, which I think you can have, which would have general interest. But a lot of the other places, you're just waiting on those two teams to meet. I think Africa, I would say personally, I think Africa and Europe are really the only two where you'd say we could have a variety of different finals here and have a good level of interest. But then again, if we're comparing the elite level of international African football and elite level European football, again, there's a relatively big drop off there in terms of talent, etc., and eyes on the competition and on the game. So for a more inclusive sport, which is what FIFA preached to us, till we're blue in the face, I'm okay with it. But James, that's not to dismiss your point, which is very spot on, which is, the more you do something, the less power and hype it has. Simple as that.
Listen, the World Cup to me is special, and I just think every 3 years it kind of makes them fair, because then after a while, a player can just stack it up. Oh, look, I've won 4 World Cups,
right.
or I've played. I'm just not that big of a fan of it. But let's get into the Premier League stuff right now. Let's start off at Old Trafford. Let's start off with it's Manchester United versus Newcastle, 4-1, and the king is back. The man is back. Ronaldo. You doubt this guy over and over and over and over again, and he just sticks it to you. 4-1 to Man United. 2 goals, the 2 most important goals of the game from the one and only Cristiano Ronaldo. Jack, how did he make you feel?
The guy's inevitable. I didn't watch the full game live. It was at 3:00, so I didn't have access to it.
Watched it live.
I was at work. I caught highlights, extended highlights, compilations of individual parts of his play throughout the game. First thing I want to really touch on is that first goal is not a tap-in. Like, technically it's a tap-in. Ronaldo is on the move well before Mason Greenwood has shot. And I was talking to my friend about this. The guy is, it's sixth sense, but to another level. It's like a sixth and seventh sense, if that makes sense. Like, he just knows where he needs to be. And, the Newcastle guys are flagging for offside. It's like, no. The guy was like 5 yards onside, started moving. He shot when he was 2 yards onside, and then was finally in the place when the ball spilled to him. That's intelligence. It's not luck. It's pure intelligence. Similarly, I think, James, to Virgil van Dijk, I think it's going to be the impact on the rest of the players which we see. We know what we're going to get from Cristiano Ronaldo. And we've already seen, I think James Ducker in the Telegraph today reported that on Friday, none of the players had dessert because Ronaldo didn't have dessert. That's the kind of like passive aggressive, like, I'm here to win, are you here to win type pressure Ronaldo's going to bring on this team. It's lucky he's got, I think the 3 teams he scored most against in the Premier League are the next 3 fixtures, which were Newcastle, I think Aston Villa, and I want to say maybe even Norwich are the third one. So I think Ronaldo's going to have a field day against these teams, but it's the guys that he's playing with and the guys he's playing around who I think are going to embrace this most from him. And it was a bit of a gimme for his first game. I think if you're Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Cristiano Ronaldo, you're laughing. Like, James, I think Steve Bruce's record against Manchester United is played them 12 times, 1 draw, 11 losses. So this result was only going to go one way. But he looked like we expected him to look. But again, like with a lot of things, like with Roma at the top of Serie A at the moment, I'm waiting for the test. We'll see how he does when he's being tested, and we'll move from there. Because at home against Newcastle is when no, sorry. James is thinking I'm talking about Ronaldo. This Man United team.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. I must have misspoke. We need to wait until the test has come, right? There've been a couple of, like, the Southampton draw didn't fill me with loads of confidence. The home games at Old Trafford, obviously you're announcing Rafael Varane and you're announcing Ronaldo. There's lots of external factors which help them in the game. I'm looking forward to away at Anfield. I'm looking forward to at the Etihad, right, at Stamford Bridge. Those are the games where I want to see this Manchester United team. And I think Ronaldo's only going to help that.
I just love it. And now, I think the crazy thing for me about the whole thing was that I didn't watch the game. I was actually at my own football game. But me hearing back and then going back and watching and hearing from a lot of people, people are saying it felt like it was a box office pay-per-view match. You know,
Right.
like like WrestleMania, Floyd Money Mayweather is about to fight. You want to pay your 50 quids and sit there and watch. And the things I was hearing from Old Trafford, the fact that I'm hearing Gary Neville said that Manchester hasn't felt like this in nearly 10 years. And it's not even forget about the COVID. It's just what Ronaldo brought to like just not just Old Trafford, but Manchester. And then when the goals went in, you know when you feel crowds.
Right.
Like me watching it, I felt the crowd, and I was a part of the crowd when the goals went in. And Ronaldo's influence, you can already tell it's coming on this Man United team. You know the things that he does. I hear a lot of people, and it's quite negative towards him that he clogs up the play. He wants the ball here. He wants the ball there. Ronaldo is only going to benefit this Manchester United team overall. Forget about what he does on the pitch. It's off the pitch too. The way he treats himself and also his individual play, his mindset. Is Greenwood not going to get better? Is Martial not going to get better? Is Rashford not going to get better? You have a serial winner. And he didn't come here just to be average and maybe win a League Cup. He wants a Premier League. He wants a Champions League. That's what he's here for. But overall, looking at the game, as people mentioned before, Man United weren't amazing. Newcastle had chance after chance to actually put Man United behind. Joe Linton had, he's a bit off. Saint Maximin caused him serious harm to Manchester United, and they would deserve it to get the equaliser. But the problem is that when you don't take your opportunities and you leave players like Bruno Fernandes, Cristiano Ronaldo, Mason Greenwood.
Great hit by him, by the way. Bruno's goal was really nice.
Incredible. You give these players the opportunity, they're going to kill you. And the fact that Man United, the thing that scares me the most Man United is the strength and depth. You know, look who they brought off the bench. I was so scary. Jesse Lingard, Anthony Martial, Donny van de Beek. Like, that is just scary. And they were walking to most teams in the
Cavani wasn't available.
Cavani didn't play. You know, like Jadon Sancho just coming to form. So many different options that they have. And me just watching it right now, they're going to be title contenders. But as you said, the test for Manchester United isn't a Newcastle. It is going to be away to a Man City, away to Liverpool, away to Chelsea.
But that's where their strength has been over the last few years. That's what's crazy about this Manchester United team. James, that's why I'm picking them for the title this year. This away form streak they've got going, fans back at Old Trafford. And James, if Cristiano Ronaldo plays against Southampton, that game is not a draw. Ronaldo finds a way to score a winner there at some point. Okay, so I don't think it's going to be kind of clinical, the most technical, amazing football ever. But I think that there's enough players and enough characteristics now about this team where there's kind of that edge of old from Manchester United where they will just win these games out of nowhere.
Definitely. Bryce, also let me know what college you go to, because I'm very interested, because I know America and colleges, you might go crazy for your colleges there. Let's just get into a few comments.
Ronan, I saw this on Twitter. So basically, anybody who's interested and does fantasy Premier League football, if you look at Manchester United fixtures, they give it a rating from, I believe it's 1 to 5 or 1 to 4 on difficulty of fixture. And from game week 15 to game week 27, we have 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1. 1 being the easiest fixture, 5 being the hardest. So there's this incredible stretch of just very easy fixtures where, like a bracer game, you wouldn't necessarily rule out in this kind of, in this kind of form Ronaldo's in. So Ronan makes a really, really good point there. We could be looking at 30 goals. James and I were discussing whether it would be over 21 and a half. It looks like he's going to kill that this year.
He will go crazy.
David kind of agreed with the pundits after the United game. Despite the win, United didn't play well. They still haven't clicked just yet. What I'd say, though, David, is that, to me, if I'm a United fan, I'd be excited about that. You've just won a football game 4-1. They're top 4, right? I think they're in the top 4 of. I know we're not really.
No, I think they're top of the league right now.
So top of the league right now. I don't know, Matt. I think there's something really nice as a football fan if your team's not playing well and you're top of the league. You're doing something right. Just quickly from Ryan and Jack, I told you Roma are winning Serie A this year. You must have loved that passion from Jose. Did. Listen. I've never he's. I think kind of like Ronaldo in a lot of ways. I think he's so self-aware. I think he knows every time he says something or does something, he knows what the reaction is going to be, and there's a certain smugness and like control of that. It's not convincing, but Roma are in the are at the top of the table. Like a last-minute winner against Sassuolo, who I was comparing as maybe better than Roma last year. Obviously, Roma have made a lot of nice signings, and yeah, maybe Mourinho is going to be this guy for us. Who knows?
Jack, I've been saying the Serie A, like team-wise, it's not that strong. You guys have a chance. Also, would you know what university this is from? Bryson,
Brigham Young University, Idaho campus. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. Brigham Young. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. I feel like we know wrestlers from that. I swear I've heard an announcer say that prior to an entrance in WWE before. So
please, if you know, let us know. But let's move on. And I know Ronan's going to get involved right here. Let's talk about Chelsea and their 3-0 win against Aston Villa. 2 goals from Romelu Lukaku, and I probably man the match between him and Kovacic. And Kovacic obviously getting the second goal. He was terrific throughout the game, but all the headlines are going to go to Romelu Lukaku and just what he's doing at this moment of time. Ronan, please let me know what you think about that. But tell me your reaction to the game, Jack.
Oh, just it's the kind of game that I think you expect from a Chelsea side set up like they are now. James, you and I have spoken numerous times in the past about who we think the best or the strongest Premier League side of all time was. And, in my opinion, those kind of early Chelsea squads in the kind of mid to late 2000s were ones that I would look at and always thought to myself, any team going into a game must think they're going to lose. The spine of Cech, Terry, Lampard, Drogba, like just anything of that nature with the good players around the width as well. And I think we're starting to see that being somewhat replicated here. And, I've said this before, I really do mean this. I think one of the most safe football transfers we've ever seen is the Romelu Lukaku deal. People can talk all they want about it being too much money or this or that or the resale value because of his age, blah, blah, blah. Romelu Lukaku is going to be a guaranteed goal scorer for basically we're going to say once a game, but then again, his hold-up play is going to be worth its weight in gold as well. His kind of winning mentality. We know how smart he is too. Let's look at... So, come on, give him time. But like James, he's signed with Rock Nation Sports, right? Lukaku. So this is a guy he's not just here to play. Like the guy knows what he's doing. He plans for a future. Guys he looks up to, like, a LeBron James, these kinds of people. He wants to have something that's bigger than just his football career. But in terms of the game itself, yeah, a convincing home performance from Chelsea. And I think that anybody going to Stamford Bridge this year, again, best of luck with that.
Again, Chelsea look very, very impressive. A few things that I want to highlight for Chelsea is the fact that Jorginho and Kante didn't start the game, and Chelsea still won very, very convincing. I understand Saul didn't live up to like what you want, but the fact that you have him and like the quality he does have is brilliant. And I look at a player like N'Golo Kante, and I ask myself, is that we love him, like we talk as much as we want to talk about Kante, but is he a starter with this Chelsea team at this moment of time? Because for some reason, week in and week out, he doesn't seem to be in a starting lineup every single week. But maybe some big games he's in there, but not all the time.
But I don't know if you remember this, and James, you correct me where I'm wrong. Not just you and me, but the wider media was talking about this when Kante first signed for Chelsea. There was a certain level of Kante for Leicester in a 4-4-2 when they don't dominate the ball, I totally understand. He's like the perfect player, the MVP of that kind of team. When you move to a team like Chelsea, where there is some higher quality possession football and on the ball type stuff, his best skills and best kind of way about him is being missed. It's why a lot of the time when we see these high energy ball winning type players, 9 times out of 10, they're not actually playing for the top teams, because you don't need to win the ball when you already have the ball, which is why we've seen Kante develop his build-up play, his support play, his passing range, all this kind of stuff. So to me, I don't know. I think that it's difficult because I don't want to use this phrase, James, because I just think that it's probably wrong. But square peg, round hole comes into it. Oh, I think James has lost me. So I can say whatever I want about James right now. I could just go off on one. But my point with Kante, Yeah, square peg round hole. I'm going to actually just say that. Why not? The style of football they're playing right now, the ball playing ability of their centre backs, the kind of ball retention
Jack,
ability.
can you carry on for a minute?
Yeah, of course, man. Yeah.
Just carry on for a minute.
And then the forwards too. I don't know whether you're going to talk about somebody like, a Kai Havertz or Lukaku in terms of their hold-up play, Mason Mount playing a little further forward. These are all guys who aren't going to lose the ball. And as a team, I don't know if we're seeing a single better team in the Premier League right now who counter-press better than Chelsea. Now, I know you'd say that, okay, well, Kante would be the best at that. But if you're comparing Kante's attacking ability and possession-based ability compared to a Jorginho, a Kovacic, a Saul Niguez, a Mason Mount, whoever really that you can bring through, I'd say that it's going to be relatively comparable. So yeah, I think Kante's missing out a little bit there, but again, it's a guy with a skill set.
I'm gonna have to remove myself for a minute, Jack. Sorry.
Okay, mate. It's a guy who does not really befit. Oh God, I've gone widescreen, everybody. It's a guy who does not befit the way that they're trying to play right now. And sometimes this is just the way it goes. You can have somebody who's like a real all-star in the job and the role that they do. If the team setup does not benefit from that, that player does not make the team. I'm not trying to, I'm trying to think of a better form of an example, but we've seen it countless times where an Angel Di Maria at Manchester United, right? Louis van Gaal and Angel Di Maria wasn't a great fit. It doesn't mean Angel Di Maria is a bad player, and it doesn't mean Louis van Gaal is a bad manager. Sometimes fits just don't work. And maybe Thomas Tuchel and N'Golo Kante, maybe it's just not his style of player. It doesn't take anything away from the coach who's having success, and it doesn't take anything away from Kante, who in his position is the best player in the world. In my book, anyway, I think that there are some good ball winners out there, but I don't think anybody's is taking the crown off Kante. Just going to get to a couple comments. Ronan, everything was perfect apart from James mentioned that. One thing I've noticed watching Lukaku, he's literally never offside. Chalk and cheese with Werner last year. Yeah, Ronan, I'm still kind of excited potentially at the prospect of them as a 2. I think we saw Werner's best football when he played in a 2 when he was at Leipzig. And I think that also with Lukaku, we saw his best football when he was at Inter with Lautaro Martinez up top. So to me, I think that there's an underlying high potential for what they can achieve there if they play as a 2, which they're very, very capable of doing. But again, because Chelsea have been so aggressive in their recruitment and there's been so many high quality players that have entered the club over the last 18 months, 2 years, I think that it's going to be difficult getting them all in a team. So we're going to see some outgoings pretty soon, you would imagine, but we will see. Bryson, Chelsea just showed why I have them as title favourites. Very solid defensively, excluding a few mistakes, mostly from Saul. They dominated possession, had enough quality going forward. Yeah, simple as that. It's not hard to be a good team, right? It was a result never in doubt. Chelsea level above. I totally agree with you, Bryson. I think you're absolutely spot on there, mate. Ronan, yeah, and Ronan makes a really, really good point here. Really, really good point. Edouard Mendy. To me, Edouard Mendy is now, I would say, a shining example, like a number of other goalkeepers, maybe Emiliano Martinez you could put in there as well. There are so many goalkeepers, I think, who can enter any club of any quality and show you how good they are. Kepa Arrizabalaga should be a red heron in just terms of the long-term future of player recruitment in the goalkeeper position. You only really need one. Right, you only really need one. Your backup goalkeeper can either be an experienced vet or it can be a young guy coming through who you have some hope and some potential for. You don't have to spend record sums of money on getting a good goalkeeper. Edouard Mendy has come in. He's not done anything overly flashy. He's not trying to be the best goalkeeper in the world. He's trying to prevent balls from going in the goal. And he's doing a bang-up job. He played so well. I only really caught the highlights of the Chelsea game. I was kind of catching it on and off. But Edouard Mendy is the real deal. Better than Kepa Arrizabalaga. And you look at how much each of them cost. You look at the comparison players I think you'd probably put with Edouard Mendy. And guys, Burnley have just scored. Captain, I'm trying to think who that is. I wish he'd turn around, but he's not. Burnley have just scored. But yeah, Edouard Mendy, hats off to him. I know I'm kind of rambling here with him. I think that it's further proof that the next time you think that you need to spend anything over really like 25, 30 million pounds on a truly elite goalkeeper, there's one around probably for under 20 million who would do a better job than any of the guys you can think about. It's a very select few who are worth the money. David, I would say under Sarri, Kante improved vastly, but I do feel Chelsea will say him at the end of the season. Yeah, look, and if you're N'Golo Kante as well, right? If you're N'Golo Kante, what are you looking to do at this point? What are you looking to do? Right? You've got a World Cup, right? You got a Champions league titles at two different teams. You're a part. You're arguably the MVP of the greatest football story, at least in recent memory. Ben Mee was the goal scorer, by the way. You're at least, the kind of number one MVP player in the greatest football story we've ever seen with Leicester's title win. If you're N'Golo Kante, you're probably thinking to yourself, right, what am I going to do after football? Where do I want to be playing my football? Not because I want to win, but because I want to enjoy myself and I want to have fun. It's not to say he doesn't enjoy his time at Chelsea, but is he happy in his role right now? I know this is like the nicest man, most genuine man football has ever seen. But if you're N'Golo Kante, it probably is getting time to move on. I don't think really Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel are going to miss him. I'd say very much that's the way Chelsea operate, apart from a handful of names. But even then, even your Lampards and Terrys, like, I don't know if they've strictly been missed by Chelsea fans. I think we've seen, I know it's been a little while now since these guys have left the club, but we've seen the replacements, some of them that are in the club now. I think they're in a pretty good space, without these guys. David again, Falcao and Van Gaal. Falcao didn't play well under him, played better when he was at Monaco. Yeah, absolutely, David. Another really good example. Sometimes it just doesn't work. I think that can be a shame and a little bit disappointing for certain people. But a lot of the time it's not to, Zlatan Ibrahimovic at Barca didn't work. It's nothing against Pep Guardiola as a manager or Zlatan as a player. It just didn't work. Why do you think Marcos Alonso has played so well this season? Well, what's up over the line football? Appreciate you. I think it's because they're playing a back five. And he's being allowed to do what he's good at doing, which is he's a very I think we call it kind of a cultured wing back in that sense. He's got a bigger frame. He's not as fast. James, you in?
Yes. Can
Okay.
you hear me, Jack?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, so let me just give my quick my quick opinion on the Chelsea game, guys. I apologize. Everything kind of went over. A quick thing I want to mention too, and I seen it going through the chat. Mendy,
this right.
Guy come in, and yes, he isn't the most glamorous guy, and he isn't a all black. He isn't the Ter Stegen or whatever, but he has come in, and he has genuinely been fantastic for Chelsea. And you look at best goalkeepers in the Premier League right now. If you got basing it on current form, he is the best goalkeeper. And if you're Chelsea, one of the things would have been like, okay, maybe could we get a goalkeeper in, because we don't really believe in Kepa. We're not quite sure about Mendy, but I believe now Chelsea are very, very sure about it. And I think the biggest thing for Chelsea is that the fact that when he goes to AFCON, what's going to happen? Are they going? How much faith do they have in Kepa? To me,
I think there's plenty of faith in him as a backup. I think as a starter, you've got. Oh, sorry, James, I missed some private chat there. Sorry, mate. But yeah, I don't think they're going to be that worried. I mean, don't get me wrong. You'd rather have Edouard Mendy, but I think that just speaks to his performances. I don't know whether you heard anything of what I said, but to me, the Kepa Arrizabalaga transfer now is going to be a red herring. I refuse to believe at any point now, with the overload of decent enough quality goalkeepers, I just refuse to believe that any club is going to ridiculously overspend on a goalkeeper anymore, when you know that for much less money, much less wages, you can get a player of this quality who can then earn a contract instead of just giving it to them. Edouard Mendy and Chelsea, have been a fine test of that, scientific test of that. But no, finishing up on Marcos Alonso, yeah, I just think he's in a system that's going to suit him a lot more now. He gives him more freedom, and Marcos Alonso is a strange football player. He really is. He's not a stereotype of the position he plays in, especially from the country he comes from. You really wouldn't. You'd expect Marcos Alonso.
Edouard Mendy's. Wait, is he not from? What team does he play for? Senegal, or is he French?
No, Edouard Mendy's French.
Did he not play? He plays for the Senegal national team. Yeah, he plays for the Senegal national team.
Oh, so he's maybe.
He does. Yeah, he does play for the Senegal national team. Jack. I just want to make my last point, and then we're gonna move on because we're running late. The last bit is Lukaku, and to me, the first goal. And I want people to really pay attention on what that first goal meant. So, how many times you've seen last season Chelsea play that ball in behind to Timo Werner?
Right.
He takes a touch, like he might stumble, he might get dispossessed, he might miss the target. But the fact that Lukaku goes through, has composure to cut it back, and then finish it, there's levels to this game right now. Because this is a game last season that Chelsea probably would have drawn or lost because the fact that they didn't have that clinical finisher, But now with a player like Lukaku, it's week in and week out, you're guaranteed your 15 to 20 plus Premier League goals.
It's a great example as well of what work rate and training can do. I look at Lukaku in situations like that, and I see nothing natural or just technically gifted about what he does there in that situation. This is not that type of finish in Lukaku's early career. We did not see that. Did not happen. Lukaku, you can tell when he's executing it what he's done on the training pitch, the extra hours he's put in, the work that he's put in to get to that point as a finisher. I think we mainly saw him make that step up when he had his first kind of spell at Everton. We saw those changes where he actually started looking at the game in a more analytical way, as opposed to, I'm just one of the most physically impressive, football players on the planet. I'm just going to do me and score my goals. He's a different character now. And he's making, he's made all these changes incredibly positively, and he's reaping the rewards like crazy. So any young player out there who's either just very fast or very strong, or you've got one kind of good attribute you're good at, do not think that you can't then get better and become elite at it, because we see Lukaku now do it. He's been doing it for like 3 years on a weekly basis for his country, for multiple clubs. So yeah.
So now let's move on to I know like you guys have a lot of Chelsea stuff there. Apologies because I had to do so because technical difficulties, but we have to go through majority of the games. We're now going to move on to Tottenham's game against Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace game against Tottenham. Patrick Vieira's first win as Crystal Palace manager, beating Tottenham 3-0 now. He's an absolute man. You don't lose to Tottenham. That's just what it is.
But also, anybody watching who maybe isn't overly familiar with me and James, this is a pro Patrick Vieira YouTube channel. We are rooting for Patrick Vieira because we both like Patrick Vieira, and also, like, for me selfishly, personally, I like all these big X players becoming coaches, because to me it just makes it so much cooler when they get into it. I can't wait, dude. I cannot wait for like Roy Keane, Vieira, Gerrard all in the same league. Like, come on, Lampard, give it to me. So
they got to give me some jobs too.
I'm delighted. I'm delighted, James. I'm really, really pleased. I think that the game plan went perfectly. Stupid from Tanganga, but again, like your Crystal Palace, there's no obvious and easy way to win against who was at the time top of the league. So credit where credit's due.
Bryson, we got to talk about Tottenham, especially when you lose. Yeah, we have to talk about Tottenham. You mentioned this could be one of the worst performances you've seen since Bayern or Brighton. Now, I understand that, and we spoke. I think last time we spoke about Tottenham, especially we had the video with Mikey and Lurkin, and we said, okay, there's some bright sparks with him there. It feels different to Jose. I wasn't so sure about that, because what I see isn't anything different. The fact that, yes, 3 for 3 wins, yes, you kept clean sheets, but going forward, nothing special. And the fact that you lost 3-0 today is, to me, a little bit flattering, because Crystal Palace generally could have had more at the same time. And the thing that worries me the most about Tottenham is that I think 2 shots in the whole game, 1 on target. And the biggest thing that had me like, wow, was the fact that Harry Kane had 0 shots on target, and wait for it, 0 touches in the box. And if you're not getting your best player, arguably the best finisher in the Premier League, touches in the box or opportunities to score, it just shows you that there hasn't been a progression from this Tottenham team yet. And you can clearly see that.
But James, as well, I think a lot of the times, especially with Kane, Kane creates his own chances. Kane takes a lot of shots, but Kane is doing that because, he's creating the own opportunities to score these goals. One person I think we'll touch on when we get into the game is Mo Salah. You and I have spoken at great length about Mo Salah, and I'm hoping we'll get to him because he's hit one hell of an achievement recently, which we will get to. But a lot of the time, Harry Kane's the one who has to create these chances. So the fact he doesn't have any shots on target, it means that he's trying to create his own chances, but he's not executing like he usually does. And it just shows you that even if one guy has a slightly off day, which we're all susceptible to from time to time, the whole thing can just derail. And a red card and 3 goals later, and it's kind of a drubbing.
But like to me, when I look at this whole Tottenham thing, and I think it's going to be an exciting season because I feel like there's surely something in there for this Tottenham team this season. But I don't look at Nuno, and I don't believe that he brought anything different to this Tottenham team or make Tottenham feel any other way different to what I seen last season. Defensively might have proved just a little with the addition of Romero, but overall, it's like, for me going forward especially, it's like, have you really improved that much? Like,
but James,
let's be honest.
As well, like again, like you say, we need to be honest here. The relationship between new managers and positive performances is undeniable. The reason why owners and directors want to just sack managers like it's nothing is because there's a good percentage chance at the time that when a new manager comes in, the results improve for a good 3, 4, 5 weeks. Well, that's how long Nuno's had in terms of competitive football matches. So we might be coming to the end of that new manager rub. Andros Townsend's just scored, I think. We're up to 2-1 now. Everton 2-1. So that's a comeback for those guys. But we're kind of coming to the end of what you'd consider maybe that new manager bump that you get when a new manager comes in, and now we're going to get to the stage of right. So actually, what are we working with here? Because we've got the people who are happy that Jose is no longer there, who are playing better. What about the guys who are now there with him week in, week out? Are we going to see improvements or not? Doucouré, sorry, just quick. Doucouré to Andros Townsend. Oh, what a hit. Oh, my days. Okay, Andros Townsend has just scored an absolute banger. That's like 30, 32 yards. Woo.
I can almost guarantee it's going to be cut inside and smashed.
On his left.
That's Andros Townsend in a nutshell.
Right
there. Let's just get into a few comments.
Bryson, as much as I want to make excuses not having Son, that's real. That's very real. Missing 2 of our best centre-backs, playing a right-back at centre-back, and then having our best centre-back go off injured 10 minutes into the game. We just got outplayed. Yeah, it's Crystal Palace. It's a new manager at a club. It's a totally changed squad, basically, that Vieira is working with, and you guys should do a better job, even with those injuries. So you're right. You're right.
Listen, I understand you can lose games, but the fact that Tottenham only had 2 shots in the whole game and 1 on target, with all that tackle of Lucas Moura, Dele Alli, all these players going forward, and you only produce that. Right. I'm sorry. That's not good enough. We have another one from David here.
David, I know Spurs were missing players, but they still lack creativity. I don't know why Nuno didn't play Gil. Don't get me wrong. Dele is good, but he's not a creative number 10. No, like, guys, Dele Alli is the, I hate to use this kind of verbiage, but it's true. Oh, 3-1. What the hell? Okay, Everton are popping off now. I think Demarai Gray's just scored. Yeah, Demarai Gray's just scored.
Guys, we're giving you live commentary at the same
time. The Jack file commentary. Doucouré. Oh, what a pass. Okay, that's Doucouré's goal. Not tidy finish, but when you get the replay, take a look at this pass from Doucouré. I think he's man of the match, by the way, from what I've seen. Ooh, that's 30, 40-yard pass. Anyway, not good enough. Not good enough. I don't know what else you can say. Dele Alli is a second striker in that respect, and to me, you need to allow him that kind of attacking approach and alleviate a couple defensive duties from him to get the truly best out of him. Because this whole kind of experiment of him as like a kind of a box-to-box all-action midfielder is just, I don't think he's at that level. I'm just readjusting myself. I'm just turning my camera off for 2 seconds.
All right. So let's just look at that. So Bryson, we capitalized and gave up after first Tanganga's Zaha incident. Now, I didn't watch the game from the overall perspective of like what I seen, but what I heard from the game and like the highlights that I seen from the game was that yes, the Tanganga thing obviously affect you, but even before that, Zaha was causing Spurs problems down that.
James is 4-1.
It's
offside.
Jack just took me completely off my flow right there. But
sorry, mate.
The one thing I get it with the Tanganga thing, but Zaha was still causing you guys a lot of problems. And to me, it's the fact that yes, like defensively, you need to be strong. But if you're not giving anything, anything offensively, it's gonna hurt your defense because the fact that the pressure just constantly comes and comes and comes in. And I'm in the sports in psychology mentioned it. Royale just got a baptism of fire.
Right. Welcome to the
Against
Premier League because
against
guys,
he
you've got
got
to keep in
a
mind,
new one.
if it's not Wilfred Zaha, maybe it's Adama Traore, right? Maybe it's Jadon Sancho, right? Maybe it's, Christian Pulisic. Maybe it's Nick Pepe. I'm kind of being generous to Pepe, but still, I'm just saying, like,
He created 6 chances on the weekend, Jack. I'm just saying.
but like this is the whole idea. Yeah, if you're going to be a fullback in this league, this is it. Like Wilfred Zaha is by no means like the top level of winger that you're going to face. He's up there, but that's not the top of the top. And if you're going to get a guy like that,
we'll get onto him. Don't worry about that. After we finish talking about the Liverpool one, we'll get onto him. I promise. Let's first move on to the Liverpool game and their 3-0 win against Leeds. And I'm going to give my first real commentary on that. Leeds are a team, first of all, that all the big sides really want to play against because they actually give you a chance at the start because they go man for man with you and they actually want to go toe to toe with you. When you go against your Brightons or like, for instance, your Burnleys, they're going to sit back, they're going to ask you, break us down. Leeds are actually going to want to come to you. And for the big team, it's very, very comfortable. And like you've seen that for them. As soon as Liverpool were able to break that front press from Leeds and just get it into the front players, Mane, Jota, and Salah, you knew what happened. The game finished 3-0. It could have been 5 or 6 or 7. That first half of Liverpool was literally breathtaking. And the fact that they didn't capitalize on it and then to get opportunities, to get the goals that they truly deserve was a bit unfortunate for them. But the one thing I'm going to touch on before we talk about Mo Salah and the rest is it Harvey Elliott for Liverpool?
So supposedly it's a dislocated ankle. I'm sure there is some damage, like, hairline fractures, I'm sure, in and around the lower leg or the ankle. But the latest I heard was that it was a dislocated ankle. Now that's not fun, but obviously compared to what a broken leg is, I think that's potentially an easier injury to come back from. But I'm no doctor.
I wish him all the best, and it was so sad to see injuries like that. We don't want to see that in football. But the one thing I'm going to say is that I didn't believe that it was even a foul.
James, neither did I.
Forget about a red card or a yellow card or even it wasn't even a foul to me. I feel like that's such a freak accident there, and I feel sometimes in football people talk about, oh, you're endangering an opponent. He didn't endanger an opponent. We see that sort of tackle or that sort of it was more of an interception than anything else. Time and time again in the Premier League, in that game, you've probably seen 6 or 7 times when a player just gets side by side to someone. Yeah, they might be a little bit behind them, but they nip in and take the ball away. The referee gave the red card of the reaction of Klopp and then the injury, and it's sad because personally, if I was Leeds, I would appeal that because to me, it's not a red card.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, James, we saw almost an identical tackle in the second half, but the roles were flipped. Right, we saw. I can't remember who it was, but Liverpool player. Yeah, what's up, Silver Surfer? Liverpool player made a challenge on a Leeds player that looked exactly the same. The only difference
was literally a minute later. It was a tackle on Mo Salah, and it's like, what are you gonna do now? Like, I think it was it you guys? I think it was his son, against Gomez for Everton. And I think Gomez ended up breaking his leg, and Son was crying in tears. I think Spurs ended up appealing the challenge and ended up giving and the red card ended up getting rescinded for that reason. So not every leg breaking challenge is like a red card. Now this wasn't.
It's pro sport. It's pro sport. It's pro sport. I don't know what anybody who wants to talk about football as a non-contact sport clearly doesn't watch or has ever played the sport. Oh my God, Andre Gomez just missed a sitter. Speaking of Andre Gomez, guys, this is professional sports. Injuries happen, mistakes happen. Not every single challenge or leg breaker is somebody trying to break the person's leg. We know that sometimes that is the case. We're trying to exclude that from the game, but at no point did I think that was the case with the Leeds player. James, huge shame for Harvey Elliott. You start away at Stamford Bridge. You start away at Leeds. you know, Jurgen Klopp must just think the world of this kid, and to have him kind of really in the ascendancy and to just have that taken away for him is a real shame.
He was playing lights out. Like generally,
Yeah.
I looked at him like, wow, he's one of Liverpool's best players out here. He was terrific, you know, and the fact that he can come in and kind of play as an inverted player, like playing from fullback and also coming in like inside and helping through the middle. A big part of this Liverpool team, and it's a shame. It's a shame because he's a bright young talent, but we hope he can get back to it. But just want to touch on the game too, on especially on the Liverpool side. Sadio Mane, Jack, I know you talk about like Mo Salah being wasteful, but Sadio Mane, out of all the Liverpool front three, is by far the most wasteful player I've seen. Chance after chance, he's the most I think he's a brilliant football player, but to me, he's the most frustrating in front of goal. And this isn't on one occasion, Jack. I see this on a number of occasions. Like his numbers do not reflect the chances he gets. While I know a player that you don't like, you're not the biggest fan of, Mo Salah. His chances
look, I'm
his
not,
stats, you know.
I'm not against Burnley just scored. Jesus, this is one hell of a game. Can I just say, or has it been ruled out? I think it's been ruled out. Look, I'm not against Mo Salah. I think Mo Salah's great, and we need to, now we're talking about the Liverpool game, we need to commend him on the PL 100 club. Look, guys, this is not an easy thing to do. You know, I need you guys to think about, you know, what a good kind of goal to game ratio is, and then maybe once you have that in your head, think about how long you need to play at kind of the top to get those kinds of goals. So for Mo Salah to do what he's managed to achieve is amazing. But again, yeah, Mane, James, again, it speaks to the same point that I feel with Salah a lot of the time. A lot of the time, you're a benefactor of the system you play in, and that's one of the worst games I've seen Sadio Mane play in a long time. Very wasteful. Kind of reminded me of early Southampton days where you were seeing him for the first couple of games for Saints going, this kid's got something, but he doesn't have it all just yet.
No, but Jack, like I feel like with him in like he mentions it here, the fact like it was like 10 shots, and there was times when like I was looking at players like Jota and Mo Salah, and they were just completely fed up with him because it got to a point where he was so fixated on scoring, he forgot about the rest of the team. There was one break where it was to Mo Salah, just a straight ball into Mo Salah. He's in, he scores. But because he really wanted that goal, he just went out by himself. And I'm like thinking there, I understand you have a vendetta, you want to score, and I'm a big Sadio Mane fan. But if I was Jurgen Klopp, I would kind of get into him a little bit.
Yeah. Well, what was so great? What was, I think, so great about Sadio Mane, especially you know, earlier on in his Liverpool career, was there was a certain level of selflessness about him. He would just do it for the team. He would put all that work in that we saw at Southampton. That you think, oh my God, who is this guy? And then you'd have people like Salah benefit from it, and you'd go, man, Mo Salah isn't Mo Salah without Sadio Mane. That's kind of changed now. You know, I was listening to a fantastic podcast on this recently. You know, Mo Salah has really kind of changed his game. He's kind of taking into that Ronaldo role a little bit. His sole focus is on scoring goals. And as long as you get the job done, you're doing what your team's asking of you. And I think that if you know, if Sadio Mane wants the same kind of reputation, he's going to need to do some practice on the training ground.
We'll get Jack to touch on that after we mention the last game in like the main event, as I call it, but not really. Arsenal finally, not only getting on the scoreboard, but getting some points on the table. Arsenal have 3 points. We're not bottom of the table again. We're coming for you guys. Not really, but Arsenal won the first game of the Premier League season, beating Norwich 1-0, a goal from Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. And yeah, everything's good. Well, not really. Again, first thing I want to touch on, Tomiyasu, I didn't watch the game like that, but what I hear from him is that in the air, he was fantastic, had maybe 1 or 2 misdemeanors. But personally, this is just my opinion. I'm more excited about Tomiyasu than I am for someone like a Ben White, because I look at Tomiyasu and I'm like, he could be like our Aspilicueta, like our Nacho Monreal, who isn't like down to one position, can play multiple positions. When you play him there week in and week out, you know he's going to give you a 6 or a 7. I mean, a 7 or 8 week in and week out. And to be fair, like when people were talking about who was the man of the match, his name was ringing his name was ringing bells there. So to be fair, I'm a fan of him. But Jack, what did you think of the whole game?
Arsenal had to win. No question at all. It's one of the biggest games in Arsenal's recent history from a
Oh
standpoint
no,
of no, James. You tell me Arsenal lose, and then it's potentially the worst start we've ever seen to a Premier League season from like any team. Wasn't that? I think if Arsenal had lost 3-0, or if Norwich lost 3-0, it would have been the worst start from any team to a Premier League season. I think I remember.
no. I remember Crystal Palace when they had Frank de Boer. They lost the 4 games and then they lost the first 4 games and didn't score.
Right, but like that's kind of the kind of level we're talking about. And Arsenal had to win this game just to even save a little bit of face. They did, yeah. Takahiro Tomiyasu. Again, do I think this is going to be the guy that drags Arsenal back up into a top 6 team? No, I don't. Do I think this is a guy who can bring them up to a top 4 team? No, I don't. But I do rate the guy. I do think he's good. I do think he's versatile. And I do think that purely from a cultural point of view, these are the kinds of characters that you're probably going to need in the in the Arsenal dressing room. So credit where credit's due for Arsenal, but let's be honest, a win against Norwich should be, especially this season, should be a given.
Well, it should be a given, but the fact that Norwich came to the Emirates and then went toe to toe for Arsenal and believe that they can actually win the game, when to be fair, they had chances to not only take the lead but also sneak a victory there. But the worrying thing for me, being an Arsenal fan too, is the fact Arsenal had 30 shots and only 6 on target. That is worrying. And if you see the goal that we scored, it wasn't this flashy, fantastic goal. It was a big buffle up going side to side backwards, and then it drops to Aubameyang. He scores from it, and then we take the lead. A goal's a goal, but going forward to me is very worrying because I'm thinking like, okay, Aubameyang maybe can get us the goals because we know about his history, but how many players can really score for Arsenal? And that's a worrying thing for me going forward.
Yeah, no, yeah, you're absolutely right, James, and I think that's the problem. This I'm similar to you in many ways. Salomon Rondon about to make his Everton debut. Look, any Arsenal fans out there? I don't know if we have any in chat or not. You tell me what the plan is. You tell me what the plan is. What is if the process, trust the process, if there is a long-term goal and a long-term plan here, you tell me what that is, because I don't know what it is. I've seen strategies where it's been, we're going to build a strong defense, then a strong midfield, then just finish it off with a couple of forwards. Great. I've also seen the opposite. I've seen all action. Let's just go out and just try and beat teams and then try and stay tight at the back. I've seen, a youth development type strategy. I don't know what the deal is here at Arsenal. I'm seeing the same stuff over and over again. And I think that this I'm hoping is going to be, a starting block that they've just pushed off of to make them a more competitive team in the league this year. And I know it's early days yet. I do. But I don't know, James. I'm still that result did not fill me with a great deal of optimism.
The fact that I was gonna do a reaction on it, but the fact that we had a football director Edu coming out and saying that he didn't really mention or a specific target for Arsenal this season has me very, very worried, because it's almost like, oh, we can finish anywhere and it's all right, and that's to me, and that's a big thing. And that just shows you where the mentality at. And that's a big thing if you're an Arsenal fan, because it just shows you that the club don't really want to build this season. That they're almost like, we'll take a vacation. We'll take what we get this season. And then we'll wait till like 3-4 seasons time when Man United, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, and Chelsea and Tottenham get even stronger. And we're just saying we'll wait another 4 or 5 years time. It's just really, really annoying. And
Jesus Christ, Bryson, come on.
You get Tottenham fans out taking shots at you like that. It's just Bryson. Out of all the people, I told you Tottenham fans there, you guys. Okay, I'm gonna let you have it today. I'm gonna let you
dude, you're closer to getting relegated than you are to winning the league right now. I'll just say that. That's what would scare me the most. I believe that. That's not a diss. I honestly, I believe one is more likely than the other, unfortunately. And all jokes aside, and yeah, they're cheap shot jokes, and and they're easy to make, but that's the problem with Arsenal, and that's where we're looking at, and I think that we're going to be a long way away from talking about Arsenal in a positive sense. I hope it comes. This is one of my favorite members of the Premier League. Everything attached with Arsenal has controversy and excitement and drama, and that those are the kind of teams that you want in this league to make it interesting. But yeah, a solid win. But again, I'm not getting my hopes up too much against Norwich. James, did you want to touch on any other games, or can I get
it's
to
all
the
right, Bryce. It's all right, Bryce. Please, but just come back to me once you get that trophy. Yeah, I'm genuinely when Tottenham win that trophy, I want all you guys can come back and show me that nice shiny trophy, because you guys don't even know what it. I bet you're not allowed cutlery in your house. You only use plastic forks and like spoons. Ain't no silverware for you guys. It's all fancy. What it is, guys.
Just quickly. Juventus Football Club 16th. You absolutely love to see it. You absolutely love to see it.
Juventus are their Arsenal right now, basically.
Dude, there's undoubtedly been a huge mental impact from the offseason that they just had. Call it losing Ronaldo, call it the financial side of things taking over a little bit more here as well. I know they got Locatelli, which I'm sure was a bright spark as well. But when you lose somebody like Cristiano Ronaldo, it's just not the dream, right? So Napoli played a good game. Luciano Spalletti, he's been around the block. Spalletti's, been a manager of a number of Italian clubs, and Napoli are a good football team. All they need is the right manager. We've seen that countless times. We saw that with Sarri. Sarri got them so close. Thank you, Vera Sly. Yes, Mr. Allegri is in the mud. I'm hoping that everybody will start to kind of agree with me here. Max Allegri is not a good football manager, ladies and gentlemen. He's gotten very, very lucky over the course of his career, where he's been a part of Serie A campaigns where he has had by far the best squad. This is the first time where you'd say the Juve squad is still probably the best squad in the league, but yeah, the guy's 16th. I know it's only 3 game weeks. I'm not getting my hopes up too high, but I think that we've seen by the caliber of the defeats, it's not been pretty. Juve weren't even close to beating Napoli.
Jack, they took the lead against Napoli.
Yeah, in 10 minutes. But again, like for the rest of the game, I think Morata, I think it was 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Anyway, this is not good, and I just hope that they continue to falter. A lot of negative things are coming together all at once for this Juventus side, and yeah, I hate to say it to any Juve fans out there, but sorry about this, but I'm delighted. I do want Chiellini to get older. I do want Max Allegri to be found out. I do want Morata to never quite make it and be that good. You know what I mean? I'm looking for all this stuff to happen so I can see Jose Mourinho do his thing.
Doug Sports, AC Milan can take Liverpool down. At Anfield or what?
Man, Anfield. There's so much in the favor of Liverpool for so many obvious reasons. Liverpool have the better manager. Liverpool have the better squad. All this kind of stuff. There's just a couple difference makers on Milan where if they have a good game, it could be like James. Zlatan still looks great. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. Zlatan is still a killer. And him and I believe Rafael Leao, who I am hugely high on, both scored. And who did they beat?
Sorry, Jack. Literally,
Lazio.
Guys, for the last 10 minutes, we're going to be answering your questions. So if you have any questions that you want to put down, hit us with it. We'll answer them at this moment of time. Any Champions League questions? Because I know Champions League is tomorrow. You might see us with
some predictions coming up.
Just guys, just stay tuned with that. So if you have any questions that you want to get answered, pop it down in the chat and we will definitely answer them. I mean, let me just see. Are they playing at the San Siro or they're playing at Anfield? Because that to me just makes such a difference.
Huge.
Also, so it's going to be at Anfield. I think it's going to be a tough game. This is a huge test for Liverpool. But I can see Liverpool winning this game like a 2-1 or so,
right.
Or even like a 3-2. Liverpool winning the game like a 3-2.
A spiteful. I nearly called Zlatan Ronaldo there. That's a compliment. A spiteful Zlatan Ibrahimovic header from somewhere in the 88th minute.
David, you're killing me right now. Pete Sampras or Federer in their prime.
You can't ask James that question. There's only one answer.
Listen, but in my opinion, Federer is just the one of the. It depends. What surface are we talking about? Well, fairness, they're both the kings of grass. I would just go for Federer. I'll go for Federer in a 5-setter because they did play on grass once, and Federer won I think in 5. So I'll go Federer in 5 sets.
But yeah, I mean, like Serie A is open, totally open this year. I'm not going to, I'm not going to go too crazy yet. I'm waiting. I've said this. I put this on my Twitter a long time ago. 26th of this month. It's the Derby della Italia. It's the Rome derby. Lazio,
Federer, definitely Federer.
Lazio, and Maurizio Sarri against Jose and Roma. And we'll see what happens there, because Roma haven't been truly tested yet, and a last minute winner at home to Sassuolo. That's not the big game Roma are going to have over this season. Soccer and psychology. Jameis Winston for MVP this year. No, but I love the optimism. I think he's going to absolutely pop off this year. But again, I don't think it's down to him. I think it's down to Sean Payton. I think it's down to our O-line. I don't think you can look at Teron Armstead, Andres Pete, Ryan Ramczyk, Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, Alvin Kamara, Sean Payton, that whole New Orleans Saints system. And yeah, I'm a fan, obviously, but this is not just Jameis Winston going out there doing it all himself. He's benefiting from the system, which is, again, something in football that happens sometimes, guys. Sometimes it's not always the guy you think it is who's kind of pulling the strings. Sometimes you benefit from somebody else's hard work. Bryson, I don't really rate the players in Juve's squad nearly as highly as I used to. I think their midfield is poor besides Locatelli. Don't rate their front three. I don't really rate besides Chiesa. I think that's a... okay. I think that's a little harsh, Bryce. I'm not going to lie to you. I still think Bentancur has a lot of upside. I think Weston McKennie has a lot of upside as well. I'm not super high on Adrian Rabiot. I think I've said that before. I do still kind of maintain and believe that. I still like Artur Melo. I wish he was at Barcelona still, but obviously we know what happened there with that deal. And the front three, look, Bernardeschi's a great player. Kulusevski's a great player. Fede Chiesa's a great player. Juve are always going to have immense talent. It's how the talent is harnessed.
Ramsey, Dybala.
Dybala, but like Ramsey and Rabiot, it's not been super.
Ramsey's he needs to come back to the Premier League or something like that. It hasn't been beautiful from him.
Juve have got Milan next in the league after the Liverpool match. Another tough game. I see Milan winning that game. It'll be interesting to see whether that's in Turin or whether that's in Milan. It's a tough one this year because it's hard to. That's in Juve, and Milan are the ones who have to travel. So Milan on Wednesday have to go to Liverpool, play at Anfield. Then on Sunday they got to go to Turin and play against Juventus. Look, it's a bold prediction. I'll probably give the minimum of a draw in that one, but we will have to see. But yeah, look, winner for this year. I don't think I can remember. I don't think I can remember a season historically in any league, be it La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, where I've seen such a drop off in the top end of talent in a league. Because I think Serie A was doing this for a good 2-3 years. I really do. I thought that, the quality of player, the competitive nature of all the teams, there are a good 7 teams who on any given week could all beat one another at the very, very top. But now, with no Lukaku, with no Hakimi, with no Conte, with no Ronaldo, with, just so many players it feels like have left the club, gotten a little older, changed managers. It's just not the same. It's just not the same. So I really do think the floodgates are open. And yeah, James, maybe the floodgates are open for a Portuguese 58-year-old.
You know me, when football, people look at the early table and like people, you get a gauge from there. You don't. After 10 games, that's when you really get a gauge of who's going to be there and who's going to be thereabouts. But who would you say could win this Serie A, Jack? Is there more than 5 teams?
Yeah, no, I still think it's the same 7 teams, like previously that I mentioned. I really did. Like, Jose continues his stroll to the title with his selfless front four, never beaten. Hey, look, never beaten sounds a lot better when you've won more than like 3 or 4 games. You're right, technically, but I'm still, like I say, I'm still waiting for that challenge. To me, that challenge is going to be the Lazio game on the 26th. And from then we'll kind of see. But no, James, look, I think what's happened now is it's the same 7 teams who are going to compete, but the top two teams have fallen off a cliff. Those top two teams of Juventus, of Inter Milan, are now totally different prospects to what they were last year. First of all, Inter, these guys were champions. You and I have talked about this a number of different times. You cannot lose Antonio Conte, Romelu Lukaku, and Achraf Hakimi and then think to yourself, everything will be fine. Everything will be fine. Milan have lost Donnarumma. That's huge. That's absolutely massive. Milan also lost Çalhanoğlu, who went to Inter. Juventus lost Cristiano Ronaldo. I'd say that's a pretty big one as well. So all those top teams have gotten worse. Roma, I'm not going to lie, great transfer window, have gotten significantly better. And again, a lot of the teams, we don't know what they're going to be like. New managers basically across the board for nearly every single team. Soccer and psychology, thinking of managers like Nuno, how long is boring permissible? Soccer and psychology, you're opening up a can of worms here, mate, because there's no answer to that question. Easy answer is he will be there as long as they are winning, but it seems more complicated in the current culture and because of the pandemic. Look, soccer and psychology, just quickly my bit on this, because this is a philosophical debate and not a kind of like objective debate of what you want, one thing or another. And the point that I'm trying to make here is, if you want to win, do you want to win every game 1-0 and have 80% of possession and pass it around the back, have one shot per game, one shot on target per game and score, and that be it? Or would you like to lose every single week, but it be 4-3 and just be the craziest, most exciting thing you've ever seen and you get relegated? The answer is it's not one or the other. It's somewhere in between. That's the point. And every single coach, every single manager, every single board of directors has to try and decide what the fans are going to be happy with. Because a lot of the time, people who do just play boring football, play for a draw, do this, do that, it's about management of expectations as well. James and I spoke about this with Burnley. I don't think Burnley fans at any point are going to get really annoyed at the board of directors or Sean Dyche because they're not challenging for the Champions League. It's not within the goals of the club. They just want to remain in the league, remain somewhat competitive. They're not looking for Jurgen Klopp style football all the time. It's very dependent on each situation. And unfortunately, like I say, it's a philosophical question, and that gives us a huge scope.
It is a philosophical question, and I do agree to that. But I also look at a team's culture, and that to me dictates what type of way that they will perform. So Tottenham in the last 10 years have been used to free-flowing football with highly exciting wingers like Aaron Lennon back in the day, Gareth Bale, we can go on about the type of like players they've had. Dimitar Berbatov, Adebayor, players going forward that's going to hit you, Rafael Van der Vaart, Luka Modric, Flair. If they have a game a while at high lane against a team that they should beat, they'll be expecting a 3 or 4-0 victory. The fact that you go to Tottenham right now, and I'm guessing for a Tottenham fan, you feel, 1-0 is only going to be enough today, or like we might only get a little 1-0 there, maybe a chance from Harry Kane to get at the second. It doesn't fill you with that much vim. And like the fact that when you guys don't win and you're also playing terrible football at the same time, it's going to affect your opinion, because at the end of the day, you don't see that bright spark. And that was the exact same thing with Jose Mourinho, where, listen, you guys were getting a result, but when you weren't getting a result, everything changed. And when Nuno, he's going to have to find a way to bring the old Tottenham back, where the fans come in and they also want to be entertained. Football is not just always about winning too. Teams also want to be entertained,
But sometimes it's your perception and where you're at. I mean, I look at, two examples that come to my mind straight away are Chelsea and Real Madrid. I think you could play any football you like at Chelsea or Real Madrid. As long as you win, I think those fan bases are happy with it and okay with it. I think you could get away with boring football if you win the league every year. I really do. But then I do think there are some fan bases where you do look at it and you kind of go, you know what? We're doing okay, but I could really do with a little bit more here, a little bit more of what I was been accustomed to for a long time. Not just because he's here, but I'll say this. I don't think it's very easy for an entire Arsenal fan base to go from prime Arsene Wenger football of the mid-2000s to kind of the early 2010s and then go to potentially what Unai Emery was potentially going to be doing.
Tell me about Big Ben's too. I need to hear about Big Ben's. I know he'll be buzzing to tell me about Big Ben's.
But there's a certain level of, there's got to be a certain level of, right, that's too much of a drop off. We need some more of this and that, even if we finish a couple places lower, because sometimes that's what you're there for. At the end of the day, guys, this is entertainment, but it depends where you get your entertainment from. Do you get your entertainment from going into the office on a Monday morning, flipping off your coworker and saying we're better than you because we beat you at the weekend? Or do you get the entertainment from going, oh my God, did you see what so-and-so did from that set piece? That was crazy. You know what I mean? That's the kind of levels we're talking about.
It's winning, but you want to be entertained at the same
Right,
time.
right. We wouldn't watch it if we wouldn't watch it if we didn't, you guys, so yeah, there's it like I say, the problem with that, we appreciate your comment. I think it was Soccer and Psychology, wasn't it, with the comment? But again, dude, it's all about philosophy. It's the team you support. It's the expectation. If you're like Chelsea Football Club, we'll use them as an example again. If you're Chelsea Football Club and you play the most exciting football of all 20 teams in the league every single game week, but you get relegated, are you as a fan going to be happy? Probably not. You're playing the most exciting football in the league, but you got relegated. It's not what you want.
But Bayern versus Barcelona versus Bayern tomorrow. Jack, who do you have winning? Because remember, last time they played, it was a bloodbath, and the Barcelona fans got to cover their face when thinking about that last game. Who do you got, Jack?
I'm gonna go with Bayern. It's at the Camp Nou, right? Let me double check.
Let me just confirm there. Yes, it is at the Camp Nou.
Yeah, it's at the Camp Nou. I'm still going to go with Bayern. I just think there's too much wrong with what's going on at Barcelona right now. I don't love Julian Nagelsmann's lack of experience in these big moments for the big teams, but I just think there's way too much talent, and Bayern Munich are a well-oiled machine at this point. But Bayern Munich never fall off to an extent where you go, what the hell happened to them? A lot of the time the worst case scenario is pretty good, and to beat them you need to be really good. So I'm going to go for Bayern in a close one, though. I think there are too many individually talented guys at Barcelona, combined with the home advantage for them to just lose, and for it to be embarrassing. Like maybe a 2-0 Bayern, 2-1 Bayern, something like that.
I think with a certain someone, I would have said Barcelona victory, but they don't have that certain someone anymore. Bayern are just Bayern. I see them coming into this game with a lot of confidence, knowing they pass in like what they've done to Barcelona before. I think it's going to be interesting the way Barcelona is set up, because for them to be sit back at home, that's going to be very interesting. But again, I see a Bayern victory, not anything there that gets you going crazy for. But yeah, Jack, we have another comment here.
Stu, Arsenal and Spurs, and to some extent, were comfy in a 5-team cartel league. It was easy to be expressive when most of the EPL was weak. Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I think that there is a certain level of, you feast on the weak a little bit there. I agree with you. I think, but we still see that. We still see that nowadays. We still see bigger clubs benefiting from smaller clubs. All you need to do is look at the early rounds of the domestic cup competitions. We know that the difference in level between you playing a League One team and your team in the FA Cup, you don't play your best 11 because you're trying to beat them. Just take advantage of it. I do think the league is more competitive now, and I think the stakes have never been higher. But overall, I'd say the level has dropped. But I think the difference between 20th and first has been closer than it's ever been.
I don't think the league is that much. I feel like the teams winning it this year is okay. I'll give it to you there, but that much competitive. Like Everton was still playing well during them times. I remember Aston Villa, Tottenham were competitive. Like everyone was still competitive, like to an instinct. Yeah, maybe like Leicester's come in and kind of changed it a little bit, and they've been the team to kind of step up. But we still had a bunch of competitive teams. I feel like teams were even better. Like in the past, the fact that Liverpool were better, Man United were better, Chelsea were better.
But I agree with you. I think overall the quality has dropped ever so slightly, but I think that the gap between the top and the bottom is less than ever. I think that the gap between first and 20th is smaller than it's ever been. But I'd say, like you've said, as an overall quality, yeah, we've fallen off a little bit. But again, I think that it's hard for you to show your true quality if everybody you're playing has upped their game a little bit.
Sammy, if you're watching this, Vinicius, whoa. Jack,
dude,
listen, this boy could not hit like water in the ocean. Like it was like bad, but he got it, Jack. Now, and this, like, there's a lot of young players who I think, oh, what does he have? What does he have? generally, Vinicius has the ability to be a Ballon d'Or contender. He's that good, and he's showing his upside. And he's like, there's Bale, there's Hazard there. He's the one next to Benzema. Benzema's just unbelievable.
Yeah, like guys, we're kind of trying to see it a little more, more and more with some of these forwards. They've totally changed their games now, and we're seeing different styles of players who can just go and go and go. And Benzema's doing it. I think that you're probably disrespectful to not see Benzema doing what Ibrahimovic and what Ronaldo, these kinds of guys, Lewandowski will probably end up doing, which will still be being very effective up until their mid to late 30s.
Our last comment, and we're going to end it here.
David, out of the Italian clubs, English clubs, Spanish clubs, German clubs, which nation will do the best in the Champions League? Do you guys see another all-English final? I hope not. Look, I hope not too. I get kind of sick and tired of it personally. The fact that whatever the final is, we'll see 3 times, if that makes sense, because they'll play each other home and away, and then they'll play each other in the final. That's just a bit of a shame. You want it to be a rare occasion where these teams don't really play one another very often. You're going to be foolish to bet against Paris Saint-Germain in the final. But again, I'm waiting to see it to believe it. I don't think that the PSG team right now are that much better than PSG teams of old. I really don't. People may mock me for that. Was Thiago Silva a few years ago better or worse than how Ramos is now? I think that's probably pretty close. Keylor Navas, Donnarumma. Well, Navas is still kind of starting, it seems, for this year. Hakimi, I think, is a huge upgrade. And yeah, Messi's Messi. But adding Messi into the mix when previously you had Neymar, Mbappe, all those guys who were already there, I don't think PSG are that much better. So I'm waiting to see it to believe it. But unfortunately, I do have a gut feel that we are going to have Chelsea, Man United, Man City, Liverpool. One of those combos is going to, at least one of those teams will be in the final, maybe 2 of them.
At least one of them's going to be in the final, but it's not going to be in all English final. I'm going to put this out and I'm going to end it here. PSG, Man United final, Ronaldo, Messi, 1.
Oh, bro, that would be so sick. No, the only other one I'd be okay with, I think, would be PSG City, because that is a proper okay, these are the 2 teams who are blinded by their need to win this trophy, and one of them's going to lose.
I think City will get knocked out early, but no, we're gonna just leave it there. I'm gonna leave that there, guys. Thank you for watching today, guys. Appreciate all the people who came out. Guys, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed already, please hit that subscribe button. If you want, tell a friend, tell an uncle, auntie, tell everybody about Box to Box Football. We appreciate you guys for coming out. We will see you guys soon on the next live. Thanks for watching. This is Box to Box Football, and we will see you.